Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Underhood Show. My name is Josh Profit. Alongside me this morning, I have our Quick Lane manager, Kelly Hamilton. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Swell.
Sunny and 70 is
Swell.
what swell. That's the word of the day. Something like that. Anyways, well, hey, this is a call-in show, so numbers down here at the bottom of the screen here, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here and talk about anything automotive that you would like. Sorry about the delay there. I was doing a test session this morning, and I thought I had it in recording mode, and so I just wanted to make sure that it was actually live. We didn't want to sit here for 15 minutes and realize that we were just recording. So apologize about that. Technical difficulties on my part, but we're up and rolling now. And again, it's call-in show 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us and talk about anything automotive that you want to talk about. And for each and every caller that calls into the show, we'll mail you out a prize package, but it consists of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Mel Hambelton Ford. While we're performing that, we're going to complete a multi-point inspection on your vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components of that vehicle. Just make sure that it's ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the Big Corner. Complete nitrogen, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer for your for the tires. And then a BG products package, which consists of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then a can of 44K for your fuel system. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles. So let's get the phones ringing, 316-462-3673. So while we're waiting on a call to come through, had one of our listeners send a video the other day, and I forwarded that to you this morning, about the 10-speed Ford transmission out, and I wanted to share the video with the viewers today, and then kind of talk about a couple of different key takeaways that I got from that video as well. And so, these repairs in these vehicles, when you talk about an internal component, whether it's motor, transmission, the dollars that you can put in some of these repairs are astronomical, and especially when you get down to a unit replacement, when you're looking at a new engine or new transmission in something. I mean, with the advancements in the fuel systems and adding turbos to them, and the complexity level of the 10-speed transmission and what that does for the fuel economy to be able to have that many different number of gears, but then also just the computerized side of that transmission to be able to know how to go into what gear at what time and what speed and predict, what you're doing or how you're driving it as a consumer. I think is huge. But in the video there towards the end, it even references that saying that it would be about a $7,000 repair to that. And, that's in line of transmissions. I mean, we've seen more expensive ones. We've seen maybe just a little bit less expensive, but that's an expensive component.
Probably none more, I think, probably complex than that 10-speed. There are a lot of moving parts in there.
There are. I mean, you think about that, that many number of gears, and you think about, well, a semi or whatever having 18 gears, and for what that does, it just gives you so many different options in a range and everything like that, for sure. Again, trying to make that vehicle as fuel as efficient as it possibly can, but give you the capabilities, whether you're wanting to tow. That's my biggest thing with and I go back to the multi-point inspection with this is, so in that pickup, we see, F-150 is probably the largest number of largest single type of vehicle that we see, here with all the service work that we do, right? It's the most common vehicle that comes in, but out of that range of those F-150s, how the consumer uses that vehicle can be so completely different.
Yeah.
You know, you've got somebody that literally it's a grocery getter and just kind of a daily driver, and it would never see any use of a pickup at all. And then you've got the work truck version of it, right? That
Mhm.
like it doesn't ever not work.
Right. Right.
It- and then when you get the range of driving it in town versus on the highway and stuff like that. But hey, let's. I'm gonna try to get this up as technically possible as I can here, and I am not. I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world, but also we're unable to. I'm unable to get both sources on one device, so we're going to listen to audio through one device and watch the video through a different device. But then also, like I said, I want to go through and take some notes on this deal and reference back a couple of different things. So yeah, I've got a notepad over here.
Okay.
Yeah, do you?
Mental
Are you?
notes
Oh,
over
okay.
here.
All right. Yeah. So we'll get this video up and going, and I think I just about am ready to go here. Turns out I'm not as ready as what I thought I was. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're definitely with the advancements with this transmission, and there's some misconceptions out there, I think, with it. And, this video, it just kind of reinforces you got to do things a little bit differently than we did
Back in the day.
even back in the early 2000s.
So we'll get flipped over here to this thing. And then I want to do one other thing because otherwise you guys are going to see it wrong. Okay, here we go. Let's
Ranger or Explorer because of the legendary 10-speed transmission. It's supposed to be the pinnacle of modern engineering. Lightning-fast shifts, incredible towing capability, and better fuel economy than anything that came before it. But right now, Ford dealerships are overflowing with these trucks, and it's not just because of a manufacturing fluke. I've spent years under these trucks, and I can tell you, the 10-speed isn't just dying, it's being killed. Most owners are doing 5 specific things every single day that are shaving years off the life of their transmission. These habits feel normal. They feel harmless. You might even think you're being gentle on the truck. But inside that gearbox, you're creating heat, friction, and pressure that the internal clutch packs were never designed to handle. Today we are breaking down the 5 daily habits destroying your 10-speed transmission. If you want to avoid a $7,000 replacement bill, you need to stop doing these 5 things immediately. Habit 1. The cold start slam. This is the most common habit I see, and it is the #1 cause of hard shifts and gear hunting in the 10R80. You're in a hurry. You start the truck, and within 3 seconds, you've slammed it into reverse or drive and touched the gas. Why it's killing your transmission. The 10-speed transmission is a marvel of hydraulic complexity. It uses a series of solenoids and valves to move fluid through tiny passages to engage the clutch packs. When that fluid is cold, it's thick. It doesn't flow like it should. When you shift immediately, you are asking the transmission to engage a gear before the hydraulic pressure has stabilized. This causes the clutches to slam together rather than slide together. Over time, this creates micro scarring on the valve body. Once that valve body is scarred, the transmission loses its ability to shift smoothly, leading to that infamous bang you feel when shifting from 3rd to 5th. The correct habit: I'm not saying you need to wait 10 minutes, but you must give the truck 30 to 60 seconds of idling before you move the shifter. This allows the pump to circulate fluid and equalize pressure. If it's below freezing, give it 2 minutes. That small wait prevents the physical shock that eventually destroys the lead frame and solenoids. Habit 2. Shifting while rolling. The lazy reverse. We've all done it. You're backing out of a parking space, you're in a rush, and you shift into drive while the truck is still moving slightly backward. In an old 4-speed truck from the 90s, you might have gotten away with this. In a 10-speed, you are essentially using your internal clutches as brakes. The internal nightmare. The 10R80 uses a one-way clutch and multiple planetary gear sets. When you shift from reverse to drive while moving, You are forcing the transmission to internally stop the rotation of the gears using friction plates rather than your actual brakes. This creates a massive spike in instantaneous heat. That heat glazes the friction material on the clutches. Once they are glazed, they start to slip. Once they slip, the computer tries to compensate by increasing line pressure, which leads to even more heat. It's a death spiral that ends with a transmission fault light on your dash and a truck that won't move. The correct habit: come to a complete dead stop before moving the shifter. Use your brakes. They are cheap and easy to replace. Your transmission clutches are not. Habit 3. Lugging in normal mode. Underload. Ford's normal driving mode is programmed for one thing: the EPA. It wants to get the truck into 10th gear as fast as humanly possible to save a fraction of a gallon of gas. But if you are driving in hilly terrain, or if you have a bed full of tools, leaving it in normal is a recipe for clutch burnout. The lugging effect. When the transmission stays in 10th gear while you're trying to maintain speed up a hill, it puts immense torque load on the overdrive clutches. Because the RPMs are low, the transmission pump is spinning slower, meaning lower oil pressure is available to keep those clutches squeezed together. The engine is lugging, and the transmission is struggling to hold that gear without slipping. This is where most of the shudder issues come from. You're literally feeling the clutches struggle to maintain their grip under the massive torque of an EcoBoost engine. The correct habit. If you feel the truck struggling or vibrating at low RPM, manually downshift or switch to sport mode. Sport mode tells the transmission to stay in a lower gear where the pump speed is higher and the mechanical advantage is better. Don't let the computer sacrifice your transmission on the altar of fuel economy. Habit 4. Trusting the lifetime fluid myth. If you look at your Ford owner's manual, it might tell you that the transmission fluid is filled for life or doesn't need a change until 150,000 miles. As a mechanic, I am telling you right now, that is a lie designed to lower the perceived cost of ownership for fleet buyers. The reality of the 10-speed. The 10R80 is a high-heat environment. It has more moving parts and more friction surfaces than any transmission in history. By 40,000 to 50,000 miles, the fluid has already begun to break down. The friction modifiers in the oil, the stuff that helps the clutches grab, start to wear out. Furthermore, these transmissions produce a lot of metal glitter during the break-in period. That metal gets suspended in the fluid and acts like liquid sandpaper on the sensitive solenoids. If you wait until 150,000 miles, you won't be changing the fluid. You'll be changing the whole transmission. The correct habit: ignore the manual. Change your 10-speed transmission fluid and filter every 40,000 to 50,000 miles. And for the love of everything holy, only use Mercon ULV fluid. These transmissions are hypersensitive to fluid viscosity. Using an all-purpose fluid from a big box store will kill the valve body in months. Habit 5. Over-reliance on adaptive learning without resetting. Your 10-speed transmission is smart. It watches how you drive and adjusts its shift timing to match your style. This is called adaptive learning. But here's the problem. If you buy a used truck, or if your driving conditions change, like moving from the flat plains to the mountains, the transmission gets confused. The confused transmission. If the computer is expecting a gentle shift based on your old habits, but you are now driving aggressively, it might clash the gears. This results in flaring, where the RPMs spike between gears, or harsh engagement. Most owners just ignore this and learn to live with it. But every time that transmission flares or slams, it's taking a bite out of the clutch life. The correct habit: if your truck starts shifting strangely, don't wait for it to break. Go to a shop or use a tool like Forscan and reset the adaptive learning tables. This wipes the memory and lets the transmission relearn your habits from scratch. Often, this simple software reset can fix a bad transmission and save you from a full rebuild. Conclusion: the 10-speed can last if you let it. The Ford 10-speed is a powerhouse. It can tow 14,000 pounds and still get 20 miles per gallon. It's a miracle of engineering, but it is not a tank. It is a precision instrument. If you treat it like an old truck from 1985, slamming it into gear, ignoring the fluid, and letting it lug under load, it will fail you, and it will be expensive. But if you adopt these 5 simple habits, give it 60 seconds to warm up, stop completely before shifting, use sport or tow/haul mode when the engine is working, Change the fluid every 50,000 miles. Reset the computer if it starts acting up. If you do those 5 things, your 10-speed won't just survive. It will thrive for 200,000 miles or more. I want to hear from you. Have you felt that?
Okay, so I've got some notes here that that I took through the deal, and Kelly will get your take as well. Let's go back to our camera. So sorry about the little bit of a lag delay and different video. Yeah, we're backwards.
We're
We need to fix
backwards.
that deal too. Look at all sorts of stuff going on here. How about that? Just flip you around just like that.
There we go.
Now we're
We
fixed.
changed spots real quick.
Yeah. So, hey, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us. Let's get your comments on the video. If you got listeners got questions in regards to that or comments in regards to that. Yeah, definitely want to hear your perspective on it as well. But there was a lot of a lot of things that I picked up on that video. What I will say right out of the gate for me is that video was not specific to the 10R80 transmission.
Well, no, it isn't.
So there are so many key points that he talked about in regards or in reference on how to just take care of that vehicle or a vehicle in general as a generalized statement that I think are true, that cause a lot of issues, a lot of mechanical issues, you know. So the very first thing that he started out with is a cold start, you know, slam into gear. So, and you see these vehicles are so much more reliable now.
Yep.
As far as they fire right up, and you just don't even think about it. You unconsciously I catch myself doing it
Yep.
from time to time. Get in it, fire it up, and take off. And then he even referenced a temperature point in there as well to let that thing run so much more, you know, when it's or I warm up so much more when it's colder, just because of the viscosity of the fluids. And I think of how that's so important, not only on transmissions but engines, you know, power steering fluid, coolant. Like there's not a system in the car that's not important for.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I think that is huge. Now what I will say is in that 10-speed, again, because of all the different drums and everything inside of that transmission and the complexity level of it, give that fluid time to get to where it's going. Because on the newer vehicles, you can easily put it into gear before the fluid's where
Yeah.
it needs to go, and it doesn't move. It
Well,
won't go anywhere.
And that goes with any automatic transmission, honestly. But these newer ones, yeah, they have so many more passages and clutch packs and pistons and everything like that inside of these transmissions that it really does take a while. And I've done it too. I've jumped in, you know, my wife had that Expedition and it had the 10R80 in it.
Mhm.
And well, we've had 2 of them. And I've jumped in that thing on a cold start before and just not even thinking about it. Threw it in gear, hit the gas, and I can feel the transmission slip. Instantly let back out of it and let it sit there and idle for a minute. But yeah, and if you for the average consumer, they may not know what that feels like.
Yep.
And they're going to go in there, start off on a cold start. That transmission is going to be slipping. It's subtle, but it's going to be slipping. But anytime those clutch packs don't have the fluid pressure yet and you start out on it and it starts to slip, you're causing damage.
Agree. Yeah, I agree completely. You know, the second step that I was talking about is when you're backing out of somewhere or driving forward and you do a rolling, you know, gear change on it. And again, I go back to, it's not specific to this deal. That's
Yeah.
hard on any transmission because you're not using the brakes to stop a vehicle. I mean, think of okay, you got 14 or 15-inch caliper on there versus you know, an
Yeah.
6-inch or 8-inch pack of clutches in there. Like, what's
Yep.
going to be more efficient on stopping that vehicle? But then also,
Well, and what's cheaper to change
well,
out
that's-
a set of brake pads or a
Yeah.
set of clutches
Yeah.
and a transmission, you know?
Yeah, very much so. And then the other side of that too is the amount of heat that is going to produce inside of that transmission. And then it's just going to burn up the fluid. Then the fluid's not going to be able to do its job as efficiently the next time around because
Right.
it's been broke down, and can't do its job because now the fluid's deteriorated
Yeah.
from what it was like. So that's a huge one. I will say out of the couple of things that he mentioned, that's probably, I'm not going to say I don't do it, but that's probably one of the things, just because I know, internally, like that's not the best thing
Mhm.
for the transmission for sure. And then there we go from, or one of the things that, one of the comments on the chat on the side over here, one of the other steps was resetting the shift adapts on the thing. That was more towards the end of the video, but we'll address that. But so he says, so would resetting be a good practice at certain intervals, just to remove my bad race car driving moments? So I'll kind of comment on that, and then you can fill in as well. Where we see more um, more instances where this is a thing is, so like if it's the wife's vehicle and she daily drives it, but then the husband gets in it and he drives it, completely different, and that the transmission, the adaptive strategy will relearn or adapt how the vehicle shifts to each of those drivers. The dilemma is it has to do it over quite a bit of period of time, right? It's not something that happens instantaneously. And so
Again, I can go back to my wife's Expedition. I mean,
the
my wife drives exactly the way you should drive, and kind of like a grandma for the most part. And I would jump in that thing, and it would it would clunk between gears, sometimes slap the gears and things like that in there. And when she drove it, perfectly fine. But like if you're like he said in there, if you're buying a used truck where
yeah,
somebody else has been a driver, or this was your wife's vehicle and now you're going to take over daily driving it because maybe you got her something new and you wadded yours up doing race car things. um you know it might be a good idea to go in there and get those things reset, but I don't know about resetting them
yeah,
time to
on a
time just because.
routine basis, I wouldn't, just because I think over a period of time the transmission's going to pick up driving styles as it goes. So I would not make it part of a routine service, but if you are having issues with the way it shifts, then yes. The other side of that is there's a lot of, reprograms or recalibrations that come out through a routine basis, through, if Ford wants to update something, or and uh, resetting the transmission shift adapts are sometimes incorporated in those routine updates or services as well. And so if they deem it need to be necessary, then yes. I would say having an issue. The other thing that I would say too is, if you replace a battery in a vehicle or something along those lines, those parameters could be affected at that point as well too. So, but definitely, purchasing a used vehicle, if for whatever reason it's shifting differently, or it's not smooth, then that would be a good time to do it as well. So then we go from there. The other thing that he referred to, well, first we can answer Tim's question. So Tim put a comment up here. So he's got a Power Boost,
Power boost.
which is the electric version of the truck, and then also the gas engine in that vehicle as well. And yes, so the comment says that when his truck starts in electric mode and the motor doesn't start until I shift into gear, is fluid going to the transmission during electric mode? And so the answer to that is yes. When it's in electric mode and moving, that's that you have fluid turning, because it is turning that converter inside the transmission. And so that is correct in regards to that deal. Let's so one of the other comments that he would made on there, and I thought it was maybe just a little bit misleading, but he was talking about or I don't want to say misleading. I would want clarification on it, because he was talking about lugging the transmission. And I believe that the technology or the program that they've wrote for these, it takes so many things under consideration. Having the gear range of having 10 gears to select from, there's so many different things, variables that go into that to decide what gear the truck should be in. And so as a consumer, aside from manually operating it, but then I think the more important thing, or the point that he was trying to get to in the video, is operate the vehicle in the drive mode that best applies to what you're doing. So if you're hauling a trailer, make sure that it's in tow haul mode. These trucks now, they have the eco mode version, they have the driving mode, they have the sport performance
Yeah.
mode, and so
If you're up in the mountains, run
Mhm.
tow haul mode,
Yep.
stuff like that.
maybe maybe your wife is more fuel economy and you're more performance, so she needs to be in eco mode, you need to be in sport mode.
Sure.
And I think that is a key feature, or that's definitely an option in these vehicles that I find myself not using as much as I probably should. And then it's going to get you the best performance based on what you're trying to use the vehicle for.
Mhm.
Got a caller coming through. I'll get him patched through. But tow haul mode, I think, is probably one of the things that at what point do you turn the tow haul mode on? Is it payload in the bed? Is it pulling a
Sure.
trailer? Is it? And for me, I would say, anytime that you're different than what the truck is. So, got another question there, Kelly?
Yeah. Is there more wear in running different modes? For example, running an eco normal every day versus running in sport every day? No, I don't really think there is. I mean, it all goes back to how you're driving the vehicle. And if if you drive like I do, and 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 he does, I've seen it.
Well,
You drive with a heavy foot.
I
It
do.
might be a good idea to drive in
To be in sport mode.
It's going to provide a little extra line pressure to those clutches and make them to where they're held tighter, so you don't get that slippage.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good question. I'm going to come back to that one as well. I've got just a couple more comments on that, but let's go to the phones and talk to Ed. Ed, good morning. You're on Live with Under the Hood.
Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Doing great.
A couple of things. Start with, I just wanted to thank you guys publicly for all the help you did in getting me that Mustang here a few weeks ago. I'm really, really loving it. I had a birthday, and Phil wished me happy birthday on Facebook, and so I answered him back, and I said, well, how about a good deal on a Mustang for my birthday? And he says, let's do it. So we got her done. And speaking of the Mustang, that had like 40,000 miles on it. Do I need to reprogram the transmission on that, or you think it's okay?
That's again, that's one of those things that if it's driving and shifting very similar to your driving style, I would say leave it alone. Run.
Okay, yeah. Seems to be all right. So, and you're talking about warming up. It's always kind of been a habit of mine. When I do a cold start, I don't move the vehicle till it idles down. And that way, I figure the computer knows when it's ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead there, Ed.
I think that's just a good rule of thumb.
I think that's definitely a good rule of thumb for sure. And again, I think it's just natural habit because these things run so well and start so well. It's just well, I'm ready to go. Why aren't you? So
yeah.
I think
I know there was a thing that came out here on it was circulating on social media here a few years ago about how your vehicle will warm up so much better when you're driving it, so much quicker, and you use less gas by letting it idle. And I think that got probably caused a lot of damage if people listen to him, because it's just not that way.
Yeah. would agree with that. Yeah, would agree with that for sure. And that's where most of the wear is going to happen, right? Is right there at
Yeah,
startup. And if you don't
absolutely.
have fluid where it needs to go, it's certainly going to be an issue. So, well, very,
Transmission, engine, everything for sure.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, listen, again, thanks for what you guys do and appreciate it. And have a great weekend.
You as well. Thanks for the call, Ed, and glad you're enjoying that new Mustang.
All right. You betcha. Thanks.
Bye. Hey, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us and talk about anything automotive if you want. Topic of the day seems to be transmissions, but you know, I was going back to Jeff's comment or question here. It says there are more wear in the different modes, and so I don't. I'm going to take the modes out of this because I don't really think that it matters in what mode that you're running it in. The modes are going to more adapt the transmission shifting to your intent of driving the vehicle. Okay. And so if it's in the proper mode, then the shift strategies are going to align more with how you're intending to operate the vehicle. Where wear comes from is heat, and you get heat from shifts, the number of shifts, and then follow that up with the amount of load that's on those components when they're shifting. Okay, so having a 10-speed transmission, if you could watch the shifting pattern of that transmission, it may go from first gear to fourth gear to eighth gear to 10th gear. It may go, hardly ever is it going to sit there and go, you're going to feel all 10 gears. I mean, that thing's going to jump around like crazy. And selecting the right mode, I think, helps it determine how to go through those gears the appropriate way with the least number of shifts and producing that heat.
Well, and I think, between the different modes, when you put it in sport mode, that is a more of a preset shift strategy, I believe, and it takes less into account of how you drive the vehicle. It is putting it into a sport mode where fuel economy is second, performance is what it's trying to achieve there.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it just, when you put it into sport mode, I think what it does is it takes less input as to how you're driving the vehicle, and it's more of just a straight performance strategy on that transmission.
Then he's got a follow-up question there. So it says, I like sport mode, but it puts it into 4-wheel drive auto versus 2 high. Is that okay for every driving? Leave it in 4 auto. So I'll let you kind of attack that. But my answer to that is, yeah, it's okay to run around.
There's nothing wrong with running around in 4-wheel drive auto. I mean, you might have a hard time doing a burnout or something if you're trying to do that sort of thing, but that's what it's designed for. I mean, that is only going to engage that 4-wheel drive when it sees those rear tires start to slip. Which the every day on dry pavement, you're not gonna be engaging the 4-wheel drive much, if at all.
Yeah, it's just has those components prepared to engage quicker than now. What I will say is the 4-wheel drive auto, I'm okay with. The 4 high,
right?
Do not. Yeah, so on some models don't have the 4 auto option. It's just 4-wheel drive high or 4-wheel drive low, and in that situation, do not run in that mode for sure. So we've talked about the cold start engagement. We talked about the reverse to drive, off the bat. We talked about the the shift adapts or the strategies.
Can we just get to the fluid?
Okay, that's where we're headed. Is the fluid.
That's where I want to be.
That's 100% where I was headed with this thing. Is the last key point, or the main takeaway out of this thing is fluid. Having good, clean fluid in this thing. And I go back to the comment that I made earlier in the show. So in the video, he references around the 40 to 50,000 mile mark of changing out that fluid, but yet the owner's manual may say lifetime or 150,000 mile service intervals. And what I would say, even to that 40 to 50,000 mile range, to me, you can't do a blanketed number. That's probably automatic transmission in my mind is one of the things that is so susceptible to people's driving habits and how they operate a vehicle that makes that range so wide. There may be somebody out there that operates the thing and is pulling quite a bit, and at 25, 30,000 miles, they need that service. And then, there's somebody that, the 40, 50,000 mile mark would probably be okay at it, and so, but the point is good, clean fluid. Like that is by far the most important thing for sure.
He said something interesting in that video, and he said by 40 to 50,000 miles, your transmission fluid has already begun to break down. And, that's been corroborated with testing from BG and
what we see.
Thermal breakdown is huge. The friction modifiers in those fluids, those wear out. They stop doing their job, everything like that. But it was interesting to me that he said 40 to 50,000 miles, your fluid has begun to break down. And then also in the same video proceeded to say, that's why I recommend replacing your transmission fluid between 40 and 50,000 miles. Well, the only thing I have to say to that is, why wait until your fluid has started breaking down to replace it? And that's kind of our whole strategy here. We recommend it at 30,000 miles. We want to get fresh new fluid in there before the breakdown starts. Before you start losing that protection from your fluid. We want to get new fluid in there and make sure those components are well taken care of. Just like an engine, there's a reason we don't run SAE 30, base 30 weight oil in our engines anymore. Those tolerances are tighter. There's more moving components. There's way more technology, and transmissions are no different. We've gone from old Dextron Mercron, and now we're on to ULV, which is a ultra low viscosity is what the ULV stands for. And I mean, if you put a couple of quarts of regular transmission fluid into one of these ULV transmissions, they flip out. It totally jacks them up.
The transmission does not like it for sure. And that's what, another point in the video that he made is ensuring that you're using the correct fluid. That's huge as well. So I think, so we got a comment on here that, so it's, says his dad likes to rev his truck up to 5,000 miles and put it, or 5,000 RPMs and drop it into neutral.
That's how I blew up my first transmission.
Drops it into drive and says he's such a kid. And I'm not sure who the bigger kid is on this chat line over here, but I sympathize. Or I think I'm right there in that group, I believe. So, and then Greg Murray says he's had us service his transmission fluid at 30,000 miles, and he says cheap service compared to new or rebuild, and that is 100% correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just we talk about that on this show a lot, is that going back here and walking through the shop and seeing repairs that are having to be made, and in some cases it's 100% unavoidable, right?
Sure,
like
sure.
it's a man-made piece of equipment, it's going to break, but then
seeing those repairs that could have been prevented,
in so many
maintenance.
Situations, it's like, okay, we could have done something different here, and could have done something different here and avoided thousands of
Yeah.
dollars in repairs is absolutely crazy. So
For sure. It is way cheaper to maintain a component on most components, way cheaper to maintain them over the life of the vehicle than have to replace them.
very good. Very good. Well, hey, I think I've got a couple of different things going on here this morning, and I know you're busy. I appreciate the video that was sent for us to review. I think it was great content, and enjoyed discussing it as well. My main thing with that video is I don't think it was specific to that 10-speed transmission. You know,
Right.
it was, but yet it applied to so many different
Sure.
variables, and it aligned with what what we typically have to say as well. So, hey, let me get we got a caller. We'll get him patched through here and see what Bill has on his mind today as well. So, but outside of that, yeah, greatly appreciate the video and being able to review that thing today. So, hey, let's go to the phones and talk to Bill. Bill, good morning. You're on live with Under the Hood.
Hey, how you doing, Josh?
Perfect. How about yourself?
Oh, hanging in there. Got a question on a 22 Mustang. Pulled it out this week just to let it exercise a little bit. Had it on battery maintainer. I was sitting in the garage, cover on it, and Thursday it started giving me the battery saver indicator on the screen. Sound
Okay.
like a cell going bad, or does it sound like a cell going bad, or
You know, Bill, that could be a few things. And your maintainer was on, hooked up, plugged in, everything like that.
yeah, it was all plugged in and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like that battery might have an issue because it definitely shouldn't do that, especially with the maintainer on there. So
Okay.
it would definitely be a good thing to have you come by and let us test that battery and everything like that.
Okay. Okay. I guess we can do that when we get to look at the vibration I'm getting in front of him too. So,
Oh, sure.
but okay. And there was another question on Explorer, 17 Explorer. Getting a kind of I think it might be a rotor, but it's getting kind of a vibration when you get into the just barely touch the brakes. It feels like it's coming from the right rear.
Okay.
But it's just while you're applying the brakes.
Well, Ken said the other day it felt like it was off and on, intermittent, but I drove it Thursday or Wednesday night, and it just was. I mean, I could feel it a little bit, but and the more I felt it, it felt like it maybe comes from the rear somewhere, right? Possibly the right rear.
Yeah. And what's making you think that it's the rear?
It was just I'm not feeling anything in the front, with the wheel or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, certainly, rotor out around or giving you a pulsation could certainly do something like that. And it may need to be resurfaced or something along those lines, but happy to have you bring that in. We can go for a spin with you. And
okay. All right, we'll bring them both out and what you think. So I just wanted to check with that Mustang. I thought, wow, that's weird. The battery was working fine until I put it up for like cold snow and everything. And then it's in the garage for about a month with the maintainer on the cover. And it just all of a sudden I got it out, Wednesday, Thursday, I guess it was. And it just
getting the battery message.
Start throwing that battery saver message on screen. So
yeah. Typically it's just an indication that it's started to deplete and probably about time to be looking at a battery. So we can test that thing and see how it tests out. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill.
All right. Thank you, John. Bye.
Well, hey, we're gonna put this one in the books. Appreciate Kelly you hanging out with me, and
thanks for having me on.
Yep, for sure. And again, thanks for all the loyal listeners and callers, and thanks for the video. And that material to be able to review as well. So everybody have a great weekend, and we will talk to you next Saturday.